What's up, Broncos Country? You're about to discover the 3 explosive secrets that have made Patrick Mahomes lose sleep before facing the Denver Broncos. And look, I'm not talking about common locker room strategy here, man. I'm talking about something that has completely changed the power game in the AFC West. And that has left Andy Reid without answers for weeks. If you think you know this Broncos team, get ready, because what I'm about to reveal here will turn your head inside out. In the next few minutes, you'll understand exactly why the Chiefs are trembling even with 3 Super Bowl rings on their fingers. And the third secret? Man, this one is so devastating that even ESPN analysts are pretending it doesn't exist. Stick with me until the end, because this is going to define who really dominates the West. Let me tell you a story that started in January, when everyone in Denver was heartbroken after that loss to the Buffalo Bills in the 2024 season playoffs. We finished 10-7, returned to the playoffs after almost a decade in the desert, and Bo Nix had shown flashes of brilliance with those 18 touchdowns in his rookie season. But man, that 31-7 loss hurt the soul of Broncos Nation. Sean Payton knew he had something special in his hands with Bo Nix, but he needed more pieces of the puzzle. And that's when the magic started to happen. During the offseason, while the Chiefs were celebrating another victorious season, George Paton and the Denver Broncos coaching staff were building something that would change everything. The offensive line that was already elite in 2024 stayed together. Garrett Bolles, Ben Powers, Luke Wattenberg, Quinn Miners, and Mike McGlinchey. These guys formed the best offensive line in the NFL last season, according to ESPN analytics, leading in both pass block win rate and rush block win rate. And, man, having this continuity in 2025, that's pure gold in the modern NFL. But the real first secret wasn't in the line. It was in Bo Nix's mind. Secret 1. Bo Nix's mental evolution. I'll be straight with you. Bo Nix is no longer a scared rookie. The kid who played that first season with 18 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, that guy's dead. What emerged from the ashes is something completely different, and Patrick Mahomes knows it. According to insiders who talked to ESPN, Bo Nix spent the entire offseason studying not just game film, but the psychology of elite quarterbacks. He dove deep into how Peyton Manning processed defenses, how Tom Brady manipulated coverages with hard counts, and especially, and this is crucial, how to beat Steve Spagnuolo's defense. In the 2025 season, through the first 10 weeks, Bo Nix had already thrown 18 touchdowns against just 8 interceptions, maintaining his efficiency. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. What changed was the reading speed. NFL analysts who broke down his film noticed something scary. Bo Nix was making pre-snap decisions in 2.1 seconds on average, compared to 3.4 seconds in his rookie season. This means that when Nick Bonitto and that monstrous defensive line are hunting the opposing quarterback, Bo Nix has already processed everything before the ball is snapped. Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, created a system where Bo Nix has 3 instant read options based on the defensive formation he sees. And look what this created. Cortland Sutton with 590 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. Troy Franklin with 425 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Marvin Mims Jr. finally exploding as the vertical threat he always promised to be. The Denver Broncos offense isn't the most explosive in the league. They're ranked only 17th in points per game with 23.5. But it's the most efficient in critical moments. Against the Chiefs specifically, Bo Nix has absurd numbers over the last 2 seasons. 7 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. 0. Patrick Mahomes knows he can't count on Bo Nix's mistakes to win this game. But wait, because this is just the first secret. If you thought you knew dominant defense because you saw the 2013 Seattle Seahawks or the 1985 Chicago Bears, let me introduce you to the 2025 reality. Secret 2. Vance Joseph's impossible math. Vance Joseph isn't just a defensive coordinator. Man, he's a mad scientist who discovered the exact formula to destroy Patrick Mahomes. and the numbers don't lie. In the last 4 games that Patrick Mahomes played against defenses coordinated by Vance Joseph, the Chiefs scored an average of, wait for it, 16 points per game. 16. Patrick Mahomes, the guy who has 3 Super Bowl rings, who has already destroyed every imaginable defense in the NFL, can't crack this code. But why, you must be asking yourself. How does Vance Joseph do this? The answer lies in mathematical pressure. The Denver Broncos lead the NFL with 46 sacks through the first 10 weeks of the 2025 season. 46. Nick Bonito alone has 9.5 sacks. Jonathan Cooper has 7.5. Zach Allen has 6.0. This defensive line is on pace to break the NFL's historic record for sacks in a single season. And it's not just about quantity. It's about when they get to the quarterback. Vance Joseph created a scheme where he sends 4 players on the rush, just 4, and drops 7 into coverage. This creates an impossible situation for Patrick Mahomes. He can't identify where the pressure is coming from because it's changing every play, and when he tries to find the open receiver, there are 7 defenders waiting. Pat Surtain, too, even though recently injured, remains the best cornerback in the NFL. Riley Moss has evolved into an elite CB2, and with the addition of players like Talanoa Hufanga bringing 70 tackles and 2 sacks through 10 games, this secondary is simply suffocating. The Chiefs are ranked as the 24th best offense in the NFL in 2025. 24. This is the same offense that had Travis Kelce, who led the league in yards and touchdowns for years. But now, Patrick Mahomes is under constant pressure, taking hits, and doesn't have time to make the magical plays he always made. According to sources close to the Chiefs' locker room who talked to ESPN analysts, there's real concern about the offensive line. Josh Simmons recently returned from family leave, but hasn't played football in weeks. He's going to have to face Nick Bonito, who is possessed this season, coming off absolutely dominant weeks. Travis Kelce, man, he's going to be neutralized by Dre Greenlaw, who returned healthy and is playing at the highest level. The tight end, who has already won everything in football, is going to spend the entire afternoon being covered by a linebacker who eats, sleeps, and breathes, destroying tight ends. And there's more. The Denver Broncos defense doesn't just stop the opposing offense, it demoralizes. They've allowed only 17.3 points per game, ranked as the 3rd best defense in the NFL. At home at Empower Field at Mile High, with that altitude of 5,080 feet, and the Broncos Country crowd screaming every play, this defense transforms into an impenetrable wall. The Kansas City Chiefs entered this season expecting to dominate once again. They're 5-4. The Denver Broncos are 8-2, tied for the best record in the NFL. And when these teams meet on Sunday, November 16, 2025, at 2:25 p.m. Mountain Time at Mile High, that defense will be waiting. But man, I still haven't told you the most devastating secret. The 3rd secret is so impactful that when Andy Reid found out, he immediately completely changed the week's game plan. And league analysts are saying behind the scenes that this could be the deciding factor, not only in this game, but in who will win the AFC West. Before I reveal this to you, do me a favor. If you're enjoying this exclusive analysis and want more content like this every week, subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. Seriously, this type of deep breakdown of the Broncos you won't find anywhere else. And leave in the comments, do you think the Denver Broncos will finally dethrone the Chiefs and win the AFC West? Let's create the biggest debate in history down there. Now, let's get to what matters. Secret 3, the invisible factor that nobody's talking about. Here's what's going to blow your mind. The 3rd secret has nothing to do with X's and O's. It has nothing to do with defensive schemes or offensive plays. It has to do with something much deeper, something that has been in the veins of Broncos Nation since that Super Bowl 50 in 2016. It's about identity. Let me explain. The Kansas City Chiefs have spent the last 9 years, mercilessly dominating the AFC West. They've won the division every season since 2016. They went to 3 Super Bowls and won 3 times. Patrick Mahomes became the face of the NFL. Andy Reid cemented himself as one of the greatest coaches in history. And during all that time, the Denver Broncos were in the desert. We went through Vance Joseph as head coach the first time, and it was horrible. Went through Vic Fangio with those elite defenses, but pathetic offenses. Went through the disaster of Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson that cost $85 million and almost destroyed the franchise. But something changed when Sean Payton arrived. It wasn't immediate. The first season in 2023 was 8-9, still far from the playoffs. But Payton was building a culture. He was rebuilding the identity of what it means to be a Denver Bronco. And in 2024, when Bo Nix was drafted in the first round, this identity started to take shape. The team finished 10-7, returned to the playoffs, and although they lost to the Buffalo Bills, something had changed in the locker room. These guys had proven to themselves they could compete. Now in 2025, man, this is a team that believes. When they took the field against the Tennessee Titans in Week 1 and won 20-12, everyone saw a different team. When they went to Indianapolis in Week 2 and took that undefeated Colts team and dominated in the second half, everyone understood. This Denver Broncos isn't afraid of anyone. They're not impressed by Super Bowl rings or reputations. They have a defense that can stop anyone, an offensive line that can protect anyone, and a quarterback who is evolving every week. But here's the kicker, the real secret. The Kansas City Chiefs know this. Andy Reid isn't stupid. He knows this isn't the 2017 Denver Broncos that got blown out. It's not the 2022 team that went 5-12. This is a legitimate contender. And for the first time in almost a decade, the Chiefs entered a game against the Denver Broncos knowing they could lose. Patrick Mahomes, who historically dominated Denver with 17 wins in the last 19 games, suddenly is facing a team that made him score 0 points in the last game of the 2024 season, that brutally embarrassing 38-0, and that has the exact blueprint for how to neutralize him. The psychological pressure is immense. The Chiefs are 5-4, which is unthinkable for a dynasty of this caliber. They lost to the Buffalo Bills 21-28 in Week 8. They lost momentum. And now they come to Mile High at altitude against a deafening crowd of 125 Broncos Country fans who have waited 9 years for this moment. The schedule favors the Denver Broncos. After this game, they still face the Giants, 3-7, the Commanders, 3-7, and several other teams below 500. If they beat the Chiefs on Sunday, the AFC West is practically decided. The Chiefs would have to win all remaining games and still hope for Denver stumbles. But even if the Chiefs win, and look, Patrick Mahomes in big games is always dangerous, they know the Denver Broncos will be waiting in the playoffs. And at that moment, with that defense rested and ready, with Bo Nix having more experience, with Empower Field at Mile High roaring, man, that's why Andy Reid isn't sleeping at night. That's why Steve Spagnuolo is racking his brain trying to find a way to neutralize Nick Bonitto, Jonathan Cooper, and that entire defensive line. That's why Patrick Mahomes, who has seen everything in his career, is treating this game like it's a Super Bowl. Because they know that the dynasty is threatened. That for the first time since 2015, the Denver Broncos is ready not just to compete, but to dominate. This Sunday's game will be defined in the details. And man, I'll tell you exactly where the battle will be won or lost. 1. Battle in the trenches. If Josh Simmons can hold Nick Bonitto, the Chiefs have a chance. But if Bonitto has another dominant day like he had against the Raiders and Texans, forget it. Patrick Mahomes will spend the game running for his life. 2. Travis Kelce versus Dre Greenlaw matchup. This will be the most important individual duel of the game. Travis Kelce is still elite, but is having his worst statistical season in years. Dre Greenlaw is healthy and motivated. If Kelsey can't create separation, the Chiefs' offense will become one-dimensional. 3. Bo Nix under pressure, the Chiefs will blitz. Spagnuolo will send the house trying to force Bo Nix into mistakes. But here's the problem. Bo Nix has played under pressure all season, and he's thrived. That game against the Chargers where he scored on the final drive, that comeback against the Titans, this kid doesn't get nervous. 4. Home field factor. Mile High is one of the toughest environments in the NFL. The altitude affects players who aren't used to it. The Chiefs come from Kansas City at sea level. They'll feel it in the fourth quarter when lungs are burning, and Bo Nix is still running plays with surgical precision. The odds have the Chiefs as 3.5-point favorites, which is absurd considering the Broncos have 3 more wins and are at home. But the bookmakers know that Patrick Mahomes in November-December is always dangerous. Andy Reid after the bye week is one of the most dominant records in the NFL. But man, this Denver Broncos is different. J.K. Dobbins was carrying the running game with 772 yards and 4 touchdowns before getting injured. Now R.J. Harvey will have his chance to shine, and according to Sean Payton in press conference, he's ready. If you ask me who's going to win, I'm going with the Broncos 24-21 on a field goal at the end. It'll be sweaty. It'll be intense. It'll be typical of Broncos versus Chiefs games. But in the end, that defense will make a critical stop on the final 4th down, and Broncos Country will explode. The final word, I'll be honest with you. This game means more than just 3 hours of football on a Sunday. This game defines the future of the AFC West for the next 5 years. If the Denver Broncos win, they don't just take control of the division, they send a message to the entire AFC that they're back, that the days of obscurity are over, that Bo Nix is the quarterback of the future, that Vance Joseph has the defensive scheme that can win championships, that Sean Payton can build a dynasty in Denver just like he did in New Orleans. If the Chiefs win, they prove once again that the dynasty is still alive, that Patrick Mahomes in crucial moments is unbeatable, that Andy Reid is a genius who always finds a way. But even so, they know the Denver Broncos will be waiting in the playoffs. And at that moment, everything I told you here, the 3 secrets, will come back to the surface. The first secret, Bo Nix's mental evolution, will continue to evolve. Every game he gets smarter, faster, more dangerous. 3 years from now, this guy will be in the MVP conversation. The second secret, Vance Joseph's impossible math, isn't going anywhere. This defense is only going to get better. Nick Bonitto is evolving into an elite pass rusher. Pat Surtain II is in his prime. The defensive line with Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, and Jonathan Cooper is the best in the league. And the third secret? That intangible factor of identity and belief, that doesn't disappear. Once a young team proves to itself it can win big games, they become unstoppable. For 9 years, the Kansas City Chiefs mercilessly dominated the AFC West. For 9 years, Broncos Country watched with broken hearts as Patrick Mahomes lifted trophies and paraded in championship celebrations. But 2025 is different. The Denver Broncos are 8-2. They have the best defense in the conference. They have a young and hungry quarterback. They have a head coach who won a Super Bowl. They have everything necessary not just to compete, but to dominate. And on Sunday, November 16th, when the whistle blows at 2:25 p.m. Mountain Time, when that ball is snapped on the first play, when the crowd of 125 fans starts roaring so loud that Patrick Mahomes can't hear his own headset, when Nick Bonitto breaks through the line and starts running straight to the backfield, at that moment everyone will understand. The dynasty is threatened. The king is scared, and a new era is beginning. So, Broncos Country, do you believe? Do you think it's finally our turn to dethrone the Chiefs and claim what's rightfully ours? Or do you think Patrick Mahomes will pull off another one of those magic tricks and rip away our hope again? Leave your opinion in the comments now. And if you want deep analysis like this every week, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave that like, and turn on notifications because next week I'm bringing the complete breakdown of the game, play by play, showing exactly how the Denver Broncos destroyed or didn't the Chiefs. Share this video with every Broncos fan you know. Let's get this analysis to all of Broncos Nation. Let's show the world that Mile High is back. Broncos Country, let's ride.